It's Rick Spence here with the Startup Canada Tour in Windsor. I'm here with Rob Whent, who's the president and CEO of Think to Learn, and he's the entrepreneur in residence at the WeTech Alliance. And you're quite a veteran entrepreneur in the high-tech scene in Windsor. Tell me a little bit about Think to Learn and what that's all about.
Sure. Well, Think to Learn basically arose out of my personal past. When I was in school many years ago, mathematics was difficult for me. And back in high school, when I went to high school, technology was allowed to be used in the classroom, which was then a calculator. You remember those days. And virtually overnight, I went from the kid that had trouble in school to the kid that now understood mathematics and how to apply it. So much so that I went through electrical engineering here at the University of Windsor at the university and excelled. And I always had in the back of my mind that little thing that said technology really changed my life, and it totally did. So over the years, I've opened my business in '87. You remember McGill Multimedia back from the early Profit days in '98. And I've had a lot of success. I mean, it hasn't been easy, but I've had a lot of success with the company. But I always still struggle with math. And I've got a son that went through our public school system. He struggled with math and English as well. Normal kid, great kid, kind of just like his dad, little ADHD, maybe a lot ADHD. And it was much different for him growing up. When I was a kid, they just said I had AITP, ants in the pants. Now it's ADHD. And it's a much different thing. Ants in the pants was more fun than being diagnosed with a learning disability. And so I went through that whole system with my son, and I realized that he can't sit still in school, but he can sit in front of a computer game for hours and know where everything is and how everything fits together. And I really thought there's got to be a reason why his mind can do that but can't do math the way he's being taught math. And I really realized pretty quickly that it's because they teach one way. Right? My son doesn't learn the way that is being taught in schools right now. So I met with a leading neuropsychologist from the Windsor Regional Children's Center here in Windsor, Dr. Corey Saunders, a couple of years ago, 2009, and said to him, why does my son have trouble learning, but he can remember everything in a game? And we started down a path of thinking about, well, why can't we, if we know what the games are utilizing in our cognitive mind, why can't we then determine cognitive strengths and weaknesses of someone that plays a lot of games? So we started down that path, and the second half of it is thinking about how to use those games, changing the parameters of the games, and then actually having them to improve cognitive weaknesses. So Think to Learn, our elevator speech is that we use video game technology to identify and improve cognition in children with learning disabilities. It's very disruptive technology. It's not been easy. We have to bring so many different disciplines together that it's like herding cats. And entrepreneurs, we don't like to sit around very much. So getting all this to happen has been a long road. In fact, that's half of the reason that I really joined WeTech Alliance as the entrepreneur in residence. One was I have a lot of valuable experience that I can share with people, but also so I could figure out how to get my startup going. Here I am again with a startup company like everybody else, try to muddle your way through and get patents and trademarks and technologies. And WeTech Alliance, part of the Ontario Network of Excellence, has been a great place for me to network, to talk to entrepreneurs about starting up. In fact, I met with one an hour and a half ago back at the Windsor Accelerator. And it's just been a very rewarding position for me to give back to a community that I typically didn't do business with. I mean, I had a technology company here, as you know. And typically our clients were not in Windsor, Essex. We would sell to Detroit. We would sell to England. We'd sell all around the world.
Your experience as a mentor, it sounds like you've been getting a lot out of it too, helping you and your new startup get off the ground. Is that true?
Absolutely. It's interesting because the more you kind of relate with startups and entrepreneurs of all kinds, you remember the things that you went through. And I think in general, entrepreneurs like to remember the good times. Through this process of mentoring, you remember the bad times as well, and you can impart that advice on these young folks and startup companies because they wouldn't necessarily think about it. And that's what's really important about mentoring.
And in your previous company, McGill Multimedia, I think you did a lot of work with the auto industry. So you've seen a lot of change over the last 10 or 15 years in that industry. What do you think is needed now to really kick off an entrepreneurial boom in Windsor? What are the barriers that we have to overcome?
Well, I think in Windsor, what we're seeing, and we're seeing this both through WeTech and through the Downtown Accelerator, is a lot of people that have great ideas and innovative ideas that 10 years ago they wouldn't know what to do with. And again, I'm a testament to that, where we used other resources before WeTech was around. And I think that being able to accept and help them accelerate their innovations is such a huge thing here. And we've had people with tech ideas, with non-tech ideas, with innovative ideas, and we've really moved the mark on helping them bring those to fruition and to commercialization.
What do you think is the biggest single thing that the accelerator does? What does that help entrepreneurs overcome?
Being alone in your basement. I think that the accelerator is a great place, and I know there's many of them across Ontario, for entrepreneurs to interact with other people. When I did my startup again in 2009, I worked from home for a year. And after trying Skype and doing all the electronic stuff, I really thought, I need to get out and talk to people. The accelerator is filled with young ideas, different seasoned entrepreneurs, and all the resources you need to really get through what you're trying to bring to market. It's pretty amazing.
And do they make you buy the beer?
I usually bring the beer, yes.
Tell me, Startup Canada, as you know, we're on a tour to try and start up Canada, to try and really unleash some of our entrepreneurial potential. Are there one or two specific problems or impediments to entrepreneurship on a national level that you think that Startup Canada should really target and try to work on and overcome?
I think we just touched on it. The municipalities need to support the entrepreneurial spirit. They need to help with accelerators. I think that, again, Ontario has done some good work with accelerators. I'm not sure what the other provinces are doing, but having a downtown accelerator filled with entrepreneurs and support people and events like we're putting on is critical to just getting people to open up their minds. It brings mentors together. It brings great ideas together. It brings people together. And certainly in Ontario, we're all networked. So we're actually using the power of the Ontario Network of Excellence to our advantage. So I'm an entrepreneur in residence with WeTech, but I can pick up the phone and call my buddy up at Tech Alliance in London if I have a client here that really needs his expertise. I don't think you can do that in other provinces, but it's really something that the municipalities need to support as well. WeTech and the other innovation centers are provincially funded, but municipalities need to be a real part of it. They can't work on their own.
Okay, Rob Whent, thank you so much. Congratulations on your new startup, Think to Learn. We'll watch that very closely.
Great.
All the best.
Thanks, Rick.